Why I regret moving to a nursing home, 6 hard lessons you should know. Elderly wisdom. In my 82 years, I've had the chance to experience much of what life has to offer. But there's one decision that I deeply regret: moving into a nursing home. At the time, it seemed like the right choice. My family reassured me that it would provide the care and comfort I needed. But once I got there, I realized the reality was far different than I had imagined. Many of you may be considering this option for yourselves or for a loved one, thinking it will make life easier. But before you make that decision, let me share some hard truths I wish someone had told me before I moved in. The truth is, moving into a nursing home isn't just about convenience. It changes everything, and once you're in, getting out isn't as simple as you might think. The things I've learned over time might surprise you, and if you know someone who is considering a nursing home, this might be exactly what they need to hear before making such a life-changing decision. Regret 1: losing my independence. The biggest shock to my system when I moved into the nursing home wasn't the small, sterile room or the rigid schedule. It wasn't even the unfamiliar faces around me. The hardest thing to accept was the complete loss of control over my life. At home, I was in charge. I decided when I woke up, when I ate, and how I spent my day. I had the freedom to take a walk, cook meals, or simply sit and read in my favorite chair. But in the nursing home, my life became dictated by someone else's schedule. Meals were served at set times, whether I was hungry or not. The lights went out at a particular hour, regardless of whether I was ready to sleep. Want to take a walk outside? You need permission, and even then, you might have to wait until someone has time to assist you. At first, I told myself that it wasn't a big deal. After all, I didn't have to worry about anything anymore. But what I didn't realize was how much I would miss the small freedoms, the ability to make decisions about my own life. The worst part was that once I gave up my independence, I realized how hard it was to regain it. I adapted, sure, but I lost myself in the process. If you're considering a nursing home, I urge you to ask yourself, are you prepared to lose your personal freedom, even in the small ways? Because once you lose it, you'll find yourself missing it more than you ever thought possible. Regret 2: feeling forgotten. Another harsh truth I learned after moving into the nursing home was that, no matter how much your family loves you, life outside continues without you. In the beginning, my family kept their promises. My daughter visited weekly, and my grandchildren came on weekends. For a while, it felt like my life still had some connection to the outside world. But gradually, the visits became less frequent. Calls replaced visits, and the holidays passed with empty promises. One of the hardest things to accept was how quickly people forget you when you're no longer physically present. My family didn't stop loving me, but as time went on, life just got in the way. My daughter would call instead of visit, and my grandchildren became busy with their own lives. I realized that the longer I stayed in the nursing home, the easier it became for people to forget I still needed them. I remember one evening, holding my phone in my hand, debating whether I should call my son. I didn't want to be a burden. I didn't want to remind him that I was here, waiting for a visit that might never come. So I put the phone down. And that's when it hit me, This was my life now. Watching the days go by, hoping someone would remember me. If you're thinking about moving into a nursing home, ask yourself, can you handle the loneliness? Because once you're out of sight, it's all too easy to be forgotten. Regret 3, losing my sense of purpose. When I moved into the nursing home, I thought I was just changing my address. I didn't realize that I was also losing my sense of purpose. At home, I had routines that gave me a reason to wake up every day, watering the plants, making my coffee, taking care of my space. These small tasks gave my life meaning. But in the nursing home, those daily rituals disappeared. Meals were prepared for me, cleaning was done by someone else, and the plants? They weren't mine anymore. At first, I told myself it would be nice to have a break from responsibilities. No more chores, no more tasks, just rest. But after a few weeks, I started to feel like something was missing. I had no reason to get up in the morning. The days felt long, drawn out, with nothing to do but wait. I saw it in other residents, too. People who had once been full of energy now spent their days sitting, waiting for time to pass. There was a man named George, 84 years old, who had been a carpenter his entire life. He was always fixing things, building projects, and staying busy. But in the nursing home, there were no tools, no projects. His hands, once strong and skilled, now sat idle in his lap. I feel useless, he told me one day, and I understood exactly how he felt. Without something to care for, life loses its meaning. The mind slows down, the body follows, and soon, you become just another face in the crowd. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, what gives your life meaning? Because once you lose that, it's hard to find it again. Regret 4, declining health faster than expected. Before moving into the nursing home, I was in decent shape. I could take care of myself, walk around the neighborhood, and cook my meals. I had routines that kept me moving, like grocery shopping and stretching every morning. But once I moved into the nursing home, everything changed. Meals were brought to me, and I didn't need to cook or clean anymore. But the more I stopped doing for myself, the weaker I became. I stopped moving as much, and soon my legs felt stiffer. I sat more than I used to, and before I knew it, getting up from a chair felt like a major effort. My muscles, which I had worked hard to maintain, were disappearing. It wasn't just me. I saw others who had been independent now relying on walkers or wheelchairs. Alice, an 81-year-old woman, used to take walks every day. She was determined not to slow down. But after just a few months, she started using a walker, then a wheelchair. One day, she said, "I don't know when it happened, but I feel like I aged 10 years in just a few months." It was the same for me. I realized that when you stop using your body, you start losing it. In a nursing home, where everything is set up to make life easier, it's easy to forget that movement is crucial. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, will you have the motivation to keep your body strong when everything around you makes it easy to stop moving? Because once you slow down, it's harder than you think to get back up. Regret 5, losing privacy and dignity. When I moved into the nursing home, I didn't fully understand how much privacy I would lose. At home, I had my own space, my own room, my own bathroom, and the freedom to do what I wanted. But in the nursing home, privacy was a luxury. I was constantly being watched, even when I didn't want to be. Staff members came in and out of my room, and I had to share spaces with other residents. Even something as simple as using the bathroom or getting dressed often required assistance. There was a time when I struggled with the idea of asking for help with tasks I had been doing on my own for years. I had to ask for permission to take a shower, sometimes waiting longer than I wanted. And if I didn't like the meal that was served, too bad, there was no other option. Roommates were another challenge. Not everyone gets a private room, and sharing a space with someone you didn't choose can be frustrating. But it's not just the lack of privacy. It's the loss of dignity. When you're spoken to like a patient instead of a person, when your daily routines are dictated by a schedule that you didn't create, it changes you. You start feeling less like yourself and more like just another name on a list. Regret 6. Realizing it's harder to leave than you think. When I first moved into the nursing home, I told myself it was just temporary. If I didn't like it, I could always leave. But what I didn't realize was how hard it would be to leave once I was in. My house had been sold, and I no longer had the independence I once had. Even if I wanted to go home, I wasn't physically or emotionally prepared to do it. The longer you stay in a nursing home, the harder it becomes to leave. Some people lose the option entirely once their home is sold or their savings are drained by the cost of care. The nursing home becomes your world, and the outside life you once knew feels like a distant memory. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, are you prepared for the possibility that once you go in, leaving might not be as simple as you think? Because once you settle in, the barriers, financial, physical, emotional, can be harder to overcome than you expect. I don't regret growing older, but I do regret thinking that moving into a nursing home was my only option. It promised comfort, safety, and a better quality of life, but instead, it took away my independence, my privacy, my sense of purpose, and even my dignity. I wish I had fought harder to stay in my own home, found other ways to get help without giving up my freedom, and made sure that I really needed to move before making such a permanent change. So, before you make that decision, ask yourself, is this truly what's best for you? Or is it just the easiest option right now? Your life, your routines, and your freedom are worth holding onto for as long as you can. One story that deeply resonated with me was shared by Ruth, a 76-year-old woman I met at the nursing home where I stayed. She had lived independently in her own home for decades and had never imagined that one day, she'd find herself in a nursing facility. Ruth had been forced to move after a serious fall, and while her family thought it would be the best option for her, she quickly found that it wasn't what she had hoped for. Ruth told me that in the beginning, she tried to make the best of it, telling herself that it was just temporary. She thought she would adjust and eventually enjoy the extra care and social interaction. But soon, she realized that her world had shrunk in ways she never expected. I lost my sense of freedom, she explained. I used to go for walks when I wanted, eat what I felt like, and spend my days on my terms. Here, I have to wait for someone to help me with the simplest things, like getting dressed or using the bathroom. I feel like a child again, and it's hard to accept. What struck me most was when Ruth shared how her family's visits became less frequent over time. At first, they came often. My son and daughter would call me every day. But soon, the calls became less frequent. They have their own lives, and after a while, they just assumed I was fine here. But the truth is, I'm not. I miss being home, I miss my privacy, and I miss feeling like I still have control over my own life. Ruth's story isn't unique. There are so many elderly people like her who find themselves in nursing homes, believing it will offer them care and comfort, only to discover it's much more complicated than that. For many, it becomes a reality they never imagined: a life where time is dictated by someone else's schedule, where privacy is scarce, and where the simple pleasures of independence become luxuries they can no longer afford. Like Ruth, many older Americans end up in nursing homes thinking it will be a temporary solution or something that will bring relief. But it's important to understand that the decision is often permanent, and the transition to a nursing home can be far more challenging than anticipated. Ruth's experience, one of losing her independence, her privacy, and the close relationships she once had with her family, serves as a powerful reminder for all of us to think carefully about this decision. It's a reminder that sometimes, what seems like the easiest option at the time can come with unexpected and irreversible consequences. Ruth, just like so many others, wishes she had fought harder to stay in her own home, even if that meant finding different ways to manage her care. After hearing her story, I realized that making the decision to move into a nursing home shouldn't be taken lightly. It's a life-changing choice that can impact your sense of self and well-being in ways you may not fully understand until it's too late. I hope that by sharing Ruth's story, I can help others consider all their options before making this difficult decision. Whether it's for yourself or a loved one, it's essential to weigh the pros and cons carefully and, most importantly, to never lose sight of the life and independence you still have left to live. As we wrap up, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch and listen to these personal insights. Making the decision to move into a nursing home isn't easy, and it's one that shouldn't be rushed. My hope is that by sharing my story, along with Ruth's, it can help guide you or someone you love toward making a more informed, thoughtful decision. If this video has resonated with you, or if you know someone who's facing this challenge, I encourage you to leave a comment below. Let's continue the conversation and share our experiences with one another. Your thoughts and stories are invaluable, and they may help others who are struggling with similar decisions. Don't forget to hit that like button if you found this content helpful, and please subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any future videos. I'll be sharing more tips, insights, and personal stories to help you navigate life's toughest choices. And, of course, don't forget to turn on the notification bell, so you stay updated on all our upcoming content. Thank you again for being here. I truly appreciate your support, and I hope these lessons help you make decisions that empower you to live a life full of independence, purpose, and connection. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.